Hello, I am jumping on here today to tell you a little bit about our Explora Journeys cruise. It was amazing in a nutshell, so I could end the video right there, but I'm going to give you more information. I was going to do just a cost comparison to show you the value of Explora, but then I realized you need a little more context. You need a little more background on what I'm actually comparing it to. So let me start this by saying there is no perfect cruise. There is no perfect cruise line. There's no perfect itinerary. There's just what works for you. So part of my goal as your travel advisor is to help you figure that out, help put you in the right product so that you will have the best trip you can ever imagine without it feeling like a burden. Let's face it, cruising can be expensive. I want you to see the value in what you're paying. So with that said, I'm going to compare Explora Journeys, I'm going to compare Norwegian Haven, and I'm going to compare MSC Yacht Club. And the reason I picked the Haven and the Yacht Club to compare to Explora is because that's what I'm familiar with. We have done 2 Haven cruises and we've done 4 Yacht Club cruises so far, and then we did our first Explora. So I feel comfortable comparing those. There are other products out there. There are other cruise lines that are doing the ship within a ship concept. I just can't speak to them yet. But if you have questions, let me know and I'll research them. I'm happy to do that. In fact, the researching part is why I love what I do. It's really always been my favorite part of going on vacation is actually planning the trip, which seems bonkers, but I love it. All right, so I'm going to start. I have some categories I want to go through with you. I'm going to start with the size of the ship because this is probably the biggest one where the numbers make a difference. Okay, so gross ton, which is, the mass of the ship. Explora 2 comes in at 63,900 tons, and the ship length is 248 meters. Norwegian Aura, which is one of their newer ships coming out, 172,000 tons with 345 meters. And right behind that, MSC Seascape, 170,412 tons and 339 meters. I could have gone with one of the new MSC, like the World America or World Europa. I just grabbed Seascape because I've been on it. No big deal. But this is just to give you some comparisons. Okay, so now you can see Explorer is quite a bit smaller. I'll see if I can find a graphic that shows a comparison between different sizes. If not, it's 248 to 345 in meters in length. So it's a lot different, and it's less than half gross tonnage. Okay, Explora 2 at full capacity has 461 suites and 922 people can fit on that. The reason I say suites is because the whole ship are suites. There are no inside cabins. There are no ocean view cabins. They are all suites, and they are lovely. It was probably the best suite we've ever had at sea, to be honest. We've had bigger ones in the Haven, but this one was just so beautiful and so well equipped and so nice. All right, Norwegian Aura. Their capacity at full sailing is 3,840 people, 1,976 total cabins. Of that, the Haven holds 156 cabins. So it's a pretty big ratio of suites to total cabins. The Seascape, or MSC Seascape, this is the biggest one. 2,270 cabins, 5,877 people at full capacity. That's a full ship. Out of that, in the Yacht Club is 131 suites. So the proportion is much smaller. I will say that we love Yacht Club. And in fact, our next sailing is booked on a Yacht Club because it was friends invited us to go along with them, found a great date and a great price, and we jumped on it. One of the nice things about Yacht Club is they do have some interior suites. So if you don't care about the balcony, that's an option. And in fact, that's what we did for our next one, just because in the Yacht Club, we have done both, and we found we just don't hang out in our cabin around the balcony. So there's no reason to pay the premium if the inside is available. We still would have gone with our friends and done a balcony if that was all that was available. But because the inside was open, we grabbed that. Within those suites, both Haven and MSC Yacht Club offer butler and concierge service. So here's where it gets a little apples and oranges. We've had great butlers on both lines. We've had not so great butlers on both lines. Our sailing last week, we were a little nervous about it because the only people that get butler service on Explora are the people in their residences, which are the big suites. And honestly, that's out of our budget. So we weren't going to do that. Our room attendant, Lester, was every bit as good as the best butler we've ever had. He was on top of things. He kept our room spotless. He kept our waters filled. He figured out without us saying what we wanted in our minibar and kept that filled for us. And in fact, had overflow for us. He just was amazing. At one point, we lost the remote for our TV, and it took him about 2 minutes to bring us another one. We're still not sure what happened to it. We think it might have actually gotten bundled up in the sheets when he did the room. Either way, there was one day that we sent a bag of clothes out to laundry and realized about an hour later that my ship card was in a pair of pants from the night before, and called down to him. It's just like the butlers. You get a direct number for them. Called down to him and said, hey, by any chance, can you check with laundry and see if they have my ship card? And he said, in fact, I was just about to bring it up. They called me and it's here and there's money in it. Sam had stuck money in the folio, like cash from the night before, and that all came back too. All of the hosts on Explora were top notch. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to point out with the people to size ratio, we had heard that Explora never feels full. And we were kind of skeptical about it because really it's not a big ship and it's still got a decent amount of people on it. It never felt full. The only place we noticed a lot of people was in the theater at night waiting for a show because the singer they had was amazing. And I will show you that all later, but she was so good. Cannot believe they got her on that ship. And the lobby bar filled in the evening, but it wasn't crowded. There were a lot of people, but you could still get to the bar and get a drink fine. So that's the size comparison. So here's where I'm going to tell you why Explora might not be for your taste. And there's videos out there where people go over this too. If you want a party ship, Explora is not for you. If you want big shows, Explora is not for you. If you want a big casino, not for you. If you want water slides, definitely not for you. So what does that leave? There were kids on our sailing. We saw a couple. They were very well behaved. They were very sweet, but it's definitely not a family-focused line. Families are more than welcome, but they're not going to cater directly to that like some of the other lines do, and that's great. It gives an option. So I wouldn't say it's an adults only, but I would say if you want that adults only atmosphere, you would be very happy on Explora. Okay, so touching on the entertainment. Our shows that we had on Explora were 2 different vocalists. They had like a house show. We didn't go to those. We didn't have time. And I'll touch on that when I talk more in depth about what we liked and didn't like about Explora. But the dining times got a little weird with the show times. There is a casino on board. When you compare the casinos between the 3 lines, the casino in Norwegian is probably the biggest and the best. So if you want to be involved with casinos at sea, if you go on a ship to gamble, you're going to want to stick with Norwegian probably. MSC has a casino. It wasn't as big as Norwegian's. But again, we're not gamblers, so I don't care. I was a little sad. My favorite thing to do in the casino is that machine with the quarters where it like slides in and out and you drop them down and you see if you can get them to fall. They didn't have that. It's fine. I didn't spend my $20 on that. Jumping back to entertainment. Norwegian does big production shows. MSC does something in between. They have a very good cast of entertainment staff that are wonderful vocalists and musicians, and they do good shows. They're just not the giant production shows, but they were good. They were fine. Like I didn't mind going. I didn't not enjoy them. Norwegian and MSC also both have arcades and kids clubs and the water slides and all that stuff. Okay, let's talk about the restaurants. When you are on Explora, the only restaurant that is not included in your cruise fare is called Anthology. It is a 7-course chef-inspired Frank Granger Michelin-style tasting menu. It was delicious. It is $165 a person with a $70 wine pairing. That's optional. You get to pick 3 things for each course, each of the 5 courses, I should say. And then the other 2 was like there's a sorbet and a palate cleanser. So everybody got the same thing. We only went with our group because we all had onboard credit to cover it. With that said, I would absolutely pay my own money for that. Again, I'd heard mixed reviews about it. We very much enjoyed it. I wouldn't consider us foodies, but we do appreciate food, and we've got culinary backgrounds in the group that was traveling. So it was really nice. The sommelier that did the wine pairings for us was super sweet, beautiful pairings. There were things I would have never tried, but worked very well, which is the joy of doing one of those menus. Okay, the other restaurants on Explora are Fil Rouge and Yacht Club are the main, what they call the main dining rooms. Get reservations if you can. It was a little tricky for us with a group of 8 people. You're supposed to be able to walk in. You can't book them ahead of time, but when you board the ship, there are people at reservations that can help you. So I would go ahead and recommend that you make those reservations so that you don't end up eating at 8:30 at night every night like we did. Not the end of the world. Certainly not that big a deal, but it would have been nice if we could have eaten at like 7 and then finished on. So they have Med Yacht Club and Fil Rouge. They have the 2 that you need reservations for before you even walk on the ship. You're guaranteed 1 seating during your sailing. If you get that in early in the week and there's room, they will let you make a second reservation. Marble & Co. is the steakhouse, by far and away the best steaks. I've heard mixed reviews on this as well. I'll go into more detail later. I will just say that my husband travels for work a lot. He does a lot of high-end steakhouses, and he was thrilled with Marble & Co. Thought it was amazing. And then Sakura is the Asian-inspired restaurant, which was also just delicious. Sushi, all the food. We just thoroughly enjoyed that and wished we had been able to do that one more than once. And then the last restaurant on Explora is the Marketplace Emporium Marketplace. I say it backwards all the time. It's their version of a buffet. It is not a buffet. There's nobody coughing on the food, sneezing on their hands, and then touching tongs. It's all handed to you over the glass. It's a lot of it made to order. You still get table service. So like if you order something that takes a few minutes to prepare, they'll hand you a beeper. And then when your beeper goes off, a waiter will grab the beeper and go get it for you. So it's not a buffet. You still got wine service at dinner, still tablecloths and napkins and good silverware. So we were happy to eat there twice. In fact, we have a video out where we just did a quick walkthrough at dinner time of all the food that was available. That's on our Instagram and Facebook if you want to check that out. That's pretty much it for food on Explora. Food on MSC. If you're in the Yacht Club, it's all included and it's delicious. The thing we really like about Yacht Club dining is that there's the private restaurant off of the lounge, which is a beautiful room, and the menu changes every day. So that's the advantage to that. The other thing we really like about dining in Yacht Club is you get the same waiter or waitress every day for every meal, and they get to really know your preferences and take care of you beautifully. Okay, now the Haven in Norwegian, the restaurant's gorgeous and the food is delicious, but the problem with Haven restaurant is that the menu does not change. So Norwegian is really focused on their specialty dining restaurants, which are delicious and the food is excellent. So that does kind of compensate for that, but just know that in the Haven, you're going to have to venture outside of the main dining room for the Haven restaurant in order to get some variety. You could eat there every day if you want and not have to go to a specialty, but you're going to get bored. Okay, so we've talked about food, drinks. On Explora, all the drinks are included in your fare as well, unless you want something super, super premium. But there wasn't a need for us at all. Like their rail liquor was still top shelf liquor. And one thing my husband noticed, I'm a wine drinker, occasional cocktail, but my husband noticed that they were making craft cocktails every time. And the mocktails were delicious too. There was no pre-made mixes. There was no like margarita mix. They were doing everything from start to finish, completely crafting them beautifully. And I have some videos of that coming up as well where we recorded them making the drinks. They were delicious. Yacht Club is a very similar thing. All the alcohol is included as well, with the exception of some very premium things that you can order. And Haven Bar has higher end stuff than the rest of the ship, but it's not as exclusive. So there would be more things in Norwegian that you would have to pay for. But again, it's not required. It's just there is. So like just comparing them across the line, we think Explora wins that one as well. All right, we talked about the size of ship and how it really does not feel full. Norwegian feels very full. We've always done the Vibe Beach Club Pass just to save on that, but that's an additional charge. The Yacht Club has a really beautiful pool deck, but if you leave the Yacht Club, it feels full because it's very full. And then Explora, even on our sea day, we were able to find seating. No problem. There was plenty of seating. It's not all shaded well, so if you're sensitive to that, just make sure you get out there early or have a backup plan. But there was plenty of spots to go to. In fact, when the stats on the Explora stat sheet, it says total outdoor public space per guest is 70 square feet. And you really can tell. It is a beautifully wide open area. Okay, talked about the cocktails, talked about the food. The last big difference between them is the itineraries. Because Explora is a smaller ship, they can really go places where the big mega ships just don't fit. So our sailing left out of San Juan. We went all the way down to Grenada, and then we worked our way back north. So we hit Grenada. We did Bequia in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We did Barbados. We went to Martinique, St. Bart's, and St. Kitts before going back. Most of the sailings you're going to find on MSC or on Norwegian are going to be focused on that Western Caribbean, same old itineraries you've done before. So that's the quick version of the differences between Explora, Yacht Club, and Haven. Like I said, there are other products that do this. I just haven't sailed on them, so I didn't want to pull them into the mix. Again, no perfect sailing, just depends on what you are looking for. We really loved Explora, and I will be watching pricing to find another one that we can sneak in. It was just a wonderfully relaxing week. We felt very spoiled and very pampered and very well taken care of. The food was delicious, and we had a great time. So let me know what questions you have. Let me know what I can help you find, and I hope you have a great day.